Lesson 9.4, the tangent ratio. Going to draw a large 30-degree angle and put perpendicular lines every 5 centimeters. Well, I measure the opposite legs. The opposite legs would be these, because they're the only other legs. So BC is 2.9 and DE is 5.8 and FG is 8.7. So if I divide these, 2.9 divided by 5, I get 0.58. 5.8 divided by 10, I get 0.58. 8.7 divided by 15, I get 0.58. Look at that, the ratios are all the same. Why? Well, these triangles are all similar because they all share this angle A and they all have a right angle. So these triangles are all similar by AA similarity. So since the triangles are similar, I know the ratio of the sides would be the same. Now with right triangles are used so often that we like to standardize the ratios of the sides. So the ratio of the opposite leg to the adjacent leg is tangent. The tangent ratio is the opposite leg over the adjacent leg. Now let's break down these parts. TAN stands for tangent. It's not a color, it is tangent. The A is an angle, and you can see in the triangle we have angle A. The side on the other side of the triangle is the opposite leg, is on the opposite side of the triangle. And the adjacent leg is the leg that is touching or makes up the side of the angle. The adjacent is never the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is the hypotenuse, not the adjacent. The opposite and adjacent are always legs. Now the other thing is we have to say which angle we're using, because if I used angle B, the opposite leg would be AC, which was adjacent for angle A. So we have to specify which angle we are using. And for this year, we are just using the acute angles, never the right angle. Let's find tangent of J and tangent of K. Well, here's J. So the 24 is the opposite leg, and the 32 is the adjacent leg. So tangent is the opposite over the adjacent, so it's 24 over 32. I can reduce those both by 8 and get 3 over 4. However, if I use angle K, then the opposite is 32 and the adjacent is 24. So for K, tangent of K is opposite over adjacent, but opposite of K is the 32 and the adjacent to the K is 24. Reduce by 8 and you get 4/3. Let's try another. Let's start with J. Tangent of J is the opposite over the adjacent. Opposite leg from J is 8, and the adjacent leg is 15. So it is 8 over 15. For k, tangent of k is opposite over adjacent, but the opposite from k is the 15. And the leg adjacent to k is the 8. Notice tangent of j and tangent of k are reciprocals of each other. That'll always happen if you use the two acute angles in a right triangle. So now we have an actual measure for an angle. From this angle, we have 22 as the opposite and x as the adjacent. So we can say tangent of our angle is the opposite over the adjacent. Our angle is 61 degrees. The opposite is 22, and the adjacent is x. What we're going to do next is turn this into a proportion, so I'll put it over 1 and cross multiply. X times tangent of 61 equals 22. Then since it's x times tangent of 61, we'll divide by tangent of 61. And then we're going to have to use our calculator. I type this into my calculator. I do 22 divided by tangent of 61 degrees. Make sure my calculator is in degree mode. And I get 12.2. Let's try the other one. From the 56, the x is the opposite. The 13 is the adjacent. So tangent of our angle is the opposite over the adjacent. So tangent of the angle is the opposite over the adjacent. Put it over 1 and cross multiply. And then I can put that in my calculator. I type in 13 times tangent of 56. Make sure I'm in degree mode, and I get 19.3. If you want to see how these work on the calculator, now I am looking to make sure I am in degree mode. The top left of this particular calculator says DEG for degree. Your calculator should say DEG or maybe just a D for degree mode. Now this is only important when you're using sine, cosine, or tangent. If it doesn't have the DEG but it has RAD or an R, you'd go to your settings and change your angle measure so that you're in degrees. All right, to type it in, the first one, the 22 divided by tangent of 61. Again, make sure I'm in degree mode. Look at that, 12.2. The other one was 13 times tangent of 56, close the parenthesis, 19.3.